at our location, so it's been a little hectic. So the reason round 1 went on for a long time was because Garganacle versus Garganacle, but round 2 does not have any of that, so we're gonna save you the trouble of having to see that. We've got Jack Artho versus Quinn for you all. I'm kind of excited for this one because there's a Pokemon that's been up and coming that I've seen a lot for just, I think, not just in the Hatterene series, which concluded today, but also every now and then on ladder, which is Espartha, which real cool Pokemon that's introduced this generation. And obviously, because this is a Series 2 tournament, there are still going to be Paradox Pokemon. So what you will have is, you will have Quinn on the left side on your screen. So for Giraffe, Torkoal, Great Tusk, Breloom, Azumarill, and Slowbro versus Jack, who is going to have a Sableye, Great Tusk, Espartha, Amoonguss, Iron Moth, and Vaporeon. So a quick thing on here actually is that Great Tusk does not have the Booster Drive on it, but it is a very heavy Trick Room team, so we're going to have to really worry about setting up Trick Room here for Quinn. Troy's side, I'm super in love with this Espartha, and the fact that there's a Vaporeon on there. Evolutions this generation, or ever since, you know, they've been like pretty heavily competitive. You usually just see Sylveon a lot of the times running around screaming with Hyper Voice and Throat Spray and Pixelate. So to see a Vaporeon is actually kind of cool. I think maybe the only other times you'll see an evolution every now and then is maybe with a Flareon for a Flareon or Jolteon for some sort of like orb shenanigans going on here. But want to focus in again on like that Espartha. I think a Pokemon that people are trying to make work and find some sort of ground for it, and I'm kind of really excited to see it. But again, because Paradox Pokemon are still legal for this tournament, we are going to be having that people bringing those, and just actually here just 2 Great Tusks going to be facing off against each other. So actually Amoonguss and Great Tusk for Jack's side versus Quinn's Breloom and Slowbro. So Breloom, one of those Pokemon that lately has been sort of a terror for a lot of people, right? You've got like sort of a fast Pokemon can put things to sleep. If you have Terra type Ghost on it, it is unable to be put out. Actually, if you're looking at for Quinn's Breloom, it is actually a Grass type Terra type Breloom, so not quite the set that some people will be running. The Slowbro has the potential to go for like the Trick Room setup, whatever might be in the back for Quinn. Do have to kind of worry about what Tusk is. Amoonguss loves that Trick Room sort of setup. Great Tusk here, kind of yeah, a scary Pokemon here as it does go for that knockoff into that Breloom. It was a knockoff the Focus Hatch, which would have broken it anyway, but Breloom able to go for the Spore is going to put that Great Tusk to sleep. Amoonguss again slow here though, but also going to have a chance to put something to sleep if it would so like to. Yep, could go for the Spore, goes into that Slowbro, and because that Slowbro was going to move last, is going to deny that Trick Room. So kind of an interesting set of choices here that you had made, right? So Slowbro fast asleep is going to take, excuse me, its necessary sleep turn for this turn because of it. However, Quinn's going to have to worry about how are you going to set up your Trick Room now that one of your primary Trick Room setters is asleep. You do have to deal with something like the Great Tusk here, which while it is asleep, is also going to be something that can do some damage to your Pokemon, especially that Breloom with something like Ice Spinner. The Great Tusk is going to take its sleep turn now, that necessary sleep turn, as it did go first before. Breloom going for the Bullet Seed is going to do super extra damage. That Technician really boosting up the damage from that attack here. That Great Tusk, oh man, it was so close to getting knocked out with if it had been hit one more time. So neither more ghostly hits, but Pollen Puff here from the Moon is going to heal up its partner thanks to that move. It gets it back into the green. Slowbro staying asleep. Quinn trying its best to make sure, and you can, you want to set up that Trick Room, you want to get that mode going here, but unable to do so as Slowbro stays asleep on this turn. So still kind of a turn where you're just exchanging sort of almost neutral, I guess. How should it, sort of like neutral turns in a way. You're not really getting anything going with your side if you're Quinn, and Great Tusk sure like took all that damage but was able to heal it up with that Amoonguss's Pollen Puff. So honestly, if you're Jack, you're just going to try to do your best to make sure that Slowbro stays asleep, but Great Tusk also going to stay asleep on this turn. It is that third turn asleep. It's really good for the Bullet one more time. Even just the 3 hits is actually going to be enough to knock that as yep, just a 2. Able to pick up that knockout here on a Great Tusk. We did see it use knockoff, and that was about it. Amoonguss is going to go next because that's what was trying for Trick Room one more time. So if Amoonguss is able to, goes for Pollen Puff now. Actually onto that Breloom, does some okay damage here. Slowbro finally able to wake up here though, is able to set up that Trick Room. So now you're kind of in the spot where if you're Quinn, you're going to try to capitalize on those turns as quick as you can, despite being in Trick Room, because the minute it runs out, you're going to try to set it up again, and if you're Jack and you can stall out those Trick Rooms, you're in a great spot to try to just able to just keep Quinn from doing that. Vaporeon though, going to move Pokemon of choice here. Really interesting that you're putting another Pokemon in there that also is weak to something like Bullet Seed. However, Vaporeon here is actually a Air Fire. It does have a couple ways to deal with it very but does have access to Ice Beam. More importantly, it is very much an interesting sort of support where it has the ability for Haze. But again, now if you're looking at Quinn's side, really focusing on what Pokemon you're going to try to bring in to sort of use that Trick Room to your advantage, right? Breloom is a very speedy Pokemon, so you kind of wanted it to go down at some point. I think ideally it would have gone down to the Amoonguss, or it would have gone down to like either maybe the Great Tusk, like taking it out, or like exchanging it there, because then you have the free switch in for that Breloom. But now that Breloom's sort of not really like dead in the water, but just kind of hanging there and taking up a turn for you. We're gonna see a Terrasilize here. It is gonna be that Vaporeon going for the Terra Fire. So Flareon is here with us in spirit with this evolution, as that Vaporeon is going to make sure it no longer has that weakness to grass, since they're going to be able to have non-effective damage against it and resist that. As Amoonguss goes for the protect on this turn, Slowbro actually goes for Heal Pulse is going to heal up the Breloom next bit. So both Slowbro and Amoonguss having access to things that are just like, hey, yeah, we can heal up our partners. Breloom though, oof, still not enough, as it is going to get to that Ice Beam, going to do super effective damage to it. But now that actually leaves Quinn in a perfect spot to be able to go for something here, like a switch in with it, Azumarill. This, Blue Bunny, absolutely, it's year. It is the year of Azumarill, year of the rabbit, and it is definitely something that like loves to just, it thrives in this sort of environment. Vaporeon does have the Terra Fire now, so it will be hit for super effective damage with the Aqua Jet and the Waterfall. Do have to be careful about the Amoonguss though, could redirect the damage to it as well. The Slowbro, also kind of interesting because we've seen the Heal Pulse in the Trick Room. It does have access to 2 actual moves, Chilling Water and Shadow Ball. Most those ones won't actually hit at the Amoonguss or the Vaporeon for really super effective damage. So really you just want to try to get some damage down, because the Amoonguss could actually be sort of a bit of a troublemaker for you if you don't take care of it properly. But Vaporeon going to be hiding behind to protect this turn, as Azumarill goes for the Aqua Jet, is catching that protect on that Vaporeon. So no Rage Powder here from that Amoonguss. Silver going for the Shadow Ball is going to target down that Amoonguss spot. It's going to get some damage into it, just very, very minimal, as Spore from Amoonguss is going to put that Azumarill to sleep. Is going to just, sort of knock down the heavy hitter on Quinn's side. So a really nice turn for Jack, right? You protect your Vaporeon, you make sure that you put something to sleep on Quinn's side. You're eating up some more turns of that Trick Room. I mean, sure, now the interesting thing is that if you don't take care of that Slowbro, then Quinn has opportunities to bring it back up again. So your best bet right now is to try to Spore everything. Azumarill is going to take that necessary sleep turn. Vaporeon's Water Absorb, I completely slipped my mind, is going to absorb that Chilling Water attack. Is going to just be like, hey, yeah, no, it's totally fine here. Pollen Puff and Ice Beam doubling down into that Slowbro. So really, it's actually kind of a difficult spot for Quinn, right? You're going to try, you saw that Shadow Ball didn't do that much damage. You saw now Chilling Water and Water Absorb not really going to be super great. Totally forgot about that too for the Aqua Jet. So really, you're in a spot now where you're two sort of heavy hitters aren't that great right now for your side of the field. It's looking a little bit difficult for Quinn, because how are you supposed to touch this Vaporeon, actually, now that I'm thinking about it? That's kind of wild. Water Absorb Vaporeon with Terra Fire type. It's a little bit difficult to even like do any sort of damage to that. This Amoonguss is going to take slow chip damage. Go wrong. Pollen Puff here is going to go down into that Slowbro. I'm going to do super negative damage. This is Vaporeon. It's just going to be like, yeah, this is cool. This is fine. Goes for the Waterfall into the Amoonguss. I guess if you're thinking to yourself, hey, yeah, Amoonguss is probably like the bigger threat right now. You are going to have that Citrus Berry be chopped down on. It is going to gain a little bit of health. Hydro Pump. Gonna miss on the Slowbro. These are the moments that I wish Scald was still in the game. I miss Scald so much, everybody. Like, just so much. Slowbro is gonna be able to heal up some HP with the leftovers, and Trick Room does expire this turn. So now you're in a kind of interesting spot here as Quinn, right? Like, you have to figure out a way to touch that Vaporeon when one Play Rough does resistant damage into this Terra Fire type. Hydro Pump very important is gonna connect now with a slow bow, not enough to knock it out right now. However, the Amoonguss's Pollen Puff might be enough to knock out this this slow bow and deny Trick Room one more time. Actually, just gonna go for the Spore instead into the Azumarill spot. Amoonguss still holds on past all of those attacks. It still has access to the Regenerator, but Slowbro now going for the Shadow Ball here is going to just slowly chip down this Amoonguss and heal up itself at the end of its turn. So Slowbro out of the red quite literally now. And so now you are trying to figure out how you can touch this Vaporeon. Actually, the Great Tusk in the back could theoretically just deal with it. You know, you only really have one or two moves to worry about. Hydro Pump has a high chance of missing. And Ice Beam is a little rough to deal with, but Great Tusk is actually pretty bulky. So now we've got, you have to just do some damage to this Vaporeon. Vaporeon, though, able to connect the Hydro Pump here into that Slowbro is enough to pick up the knockout despite that resistance. Hey, you know what? When you hit them for hard damage here with Hydro Pump, and that's the way that it kind of really goes. Azumarill is going to stay fast asleep on this turn. This should be its necessary sleep turn right here. Amoonguss goes for the Spore, probably was going to be into that Slowbro, or just in case it woke up. Great Tusk now. And kind of a weird spot. Kind of really wants to have like that Trick Room set up, and Vaporeon just, you know, really sitting pretty here. Vaporeon we should try its best to deal with it right now. Now we're actually gonna get the Terra typing on the other side. Here it is gonna be that Azumarill is gonna have a very Terra type, so at least that resistance can sort of be negated by the fact that it has access to huge power. Gonna double its attack stat as well. That Life Orb plus the huge power is going to do a lot of damage. Rage Powder from Amoonguss is going to try its best to protect that Vaporeon. It's very much on its last whatever types of legs Amoonguss has. Headlong Rush is going to pick up an easy knockout here. Is going to take the defense fall and that special defense fall for its troubles though. So going to be more susceptible to Vaporeon's attacks here. Excuse me. Vaporeon able to land another Hydro Pump into that Great Tusk, able to pick up that easy one-hit knockout now thanks to those drops in defense and special defense. And now Azumarill able to wake up with that Terra typing, is going to connect the Play Rough, does get that extra boost both from the Life Orb, from the Terra typing, and from the huge power, but still not enough to get Vaporeon into the red, and is actually on a timer thanks to that Life Orb. Vaporeon having the leftovers as well is going to try to negate some of that damage and recoup some of that HP. Jackus still has one more Pokemon at least to show for it. That Great Tusk went down, Amoonguss went down, but it is going to be a 2v1 situation, and Azumarill doesn't have access to anything that really is able to attack both of them at the same time. This is Artho actually also has access to Flash Cannon, so gonna do super effective damage to Azumarill. So really just kind of in a rough spot, I think, for this Azumarill. I think you really have to target down. Yep, you would have to target down via Sparta, but Lumina Crash is able to hit down Azumarill, getting the -2 into that special defense. Hydro Pump missing on this is kind of huge. Azumarill connecting Player Rough. Everything has a chance to miss right now. So Sparta is not going to go down, does have the focus sash thanks to that, is holding on with 1 HP. So just a double down into here. If that Vaporeon can connect that Hydro Pump on this turn, it's kind of just game 1 going to Quinn, but there is a chance. Hydro Pump does have that really rough sort of mischance, but Aqua Jet, a priority move, is going to pick up that last HP on a Sparta, is going to knock it out to a 1v1 situation here. So if Hydro Pump can miss twice, Quinn has a chance, but I think instead, smarter choice to click in here as that special defense did drop, so you're going to do more damage to it. And now Azumarill is going to get knocked out, giving game 1 to Jack. So game 2, so who would have thought that Vaporeon would be one of those Pokemon that is a pain in your butt because of the fact that you can Terra Fire it, get rid of your grass weakness, and then be like, hey, you want to hit me with water? Yeah, good luck. Oh, you're gonna bring a ground type? Yeah, good luck. I have access to like both ice and water type moves. So it's kind of rough. Actually, it's kind of a rough matchup for Quinn, right? You have to really consider, there's a couple ways that you really want to try to set up Trick Room, right? You have two Trick Room setters on your team. You have both Fergaraf and you have both the Slowbro. But then, if you're looking over at Jack's team, right, all of a sudden, that Vaporeon is kind of a pain, and so is that Amoonguss. Letting that Amoonguss score things like crazy is sort of a problem, right? If you're gonna try some way to set up your Trick Room, I think you have to do so in a way where you don't let Amoonguss thrive in that sort of environment. It's always kind of been said that if you have a Trick Room team, Amoonguss is probably going to be one of the Pokemon that you have to watch out for because of the fact that if you set up Trick Room, hey, that's cool. Amoonguss loves that. And so it is definitely one of the Pokemon that you're gonna have to have a game plan for and sort of just be like, hey, I need to make sure that this Amoonguss doesn't put things on my side of the field to sleep. Pollen Puff is also just sort of annoying in the sense that, hey, I can do a lot of damage to my opponent, but at the same time, any damage that I might be dealing to them is going to get healed up thanks to the fact that Amoonguss has access to that Pollen Puff, right? So it's actually a really cool move. You use it on your ally, you heal up. If you use it on your opponents, they get they like take damage. So really there's actually a couple ways that Jack has to be able to deal with sort of a Trick Room team. But at the crux of it all, right, if you get rid of the Amoonguss, you have a lot of better chances to, one, either thrive in your own Trick Room if you're Quinn, and then just, you know, not have to worry about being put to sleep and all of this stuff going on. So interesting because now looking at Quinn, they are bringing both their Trick Room centers and leaving behind the Azumarill, which honestly the Azumarill, it's unfortunate because it is one of those Pokemon that honestly fantastic sort of choice to use in these settings, and just overall, like I said, it is Azumarill's year, right? Like you've got great like priority moves, you've got a lot of like damage dealing moves, but against something like the Vaporeon in this case, which is such a weird thing to say, it doesn't really offer much. But Amoonguss is back on the field, and this time actually with Iron Moth, the booster energy activating that Quark Drive with special attack going up, so that makes this a little bit scarier. Iron Moth, of course, the Paradox Future version, my bad, of Volcarona. Really fantastic design. I will fight Brendan Lewis on that. This is a call out for him. If he does not like it, I don't want to know this. We are actually going to have a Terastallize just from the get-go. It's going to be the Iron Moth. The Iron Moth is going to have the Grass Terra typing here. It's actually got a pretty scary sort of moveset here with that special attack. It's going to hit a lot of stuff on that side of the field, really crazy to hear, but Breloom actually going for a Protect this turn. Doesn't want to Sash Broken, or probably just wants to see what Jack might be doing here, as Amoonguss actually also goes for a Protect on this turn. Also not going to take damage. Jack maybe correctly identifying, hey, I'm in a little bit trouble. Nope, it's that Sludge Wave though. The double Protect here going to make sure that both Breloom and that Amoonguss are not going to get hit by that at all. Sludge Wave just kind of terrifying. It hits everybody. Sludge Wave takes a considerable amount of damage with it and gets poisoned. Sludge Wave has a high chance of poison. As well, but Slowbro, you know, at least is able to set up the Trick Room on this turn, so is officially on a timer thanks to both the poison. Whatever happens, right, even the leftovers damage might not be enough to negate that poison damage in the end, so anything that you're really taking as a hit for won't really be doing much here. Yeah, you're taking more from the poison than you are from, like, healing up there, but hey, the important part is Breloom still has that Focus Sash intact. Does have to be careful though, because now Spore won't work on either Amoonguss or the Iron Moth thanks to the fact that they both have that Grass typing. Or in this case, I guess one Terra typing, one Sun typing. So really, this Breloom is just kind of hanging out there, right? It doesn't really have much to do. Doesn't really like have any like real way of being like, yeah, I'm in a good spot. It's unfortunate because like that Torkoal that like you can see Quinn has would be fantastic in this, right? You click Eruption, you click Heat Wave, and you call it a day, and it's great. You love that. But here instead we're gonna have Breloom go for the Mach Punch. Does a lot of damage still though into that Iron Moth as a double down into the Iron Moth from Slowbro and Breloom. Not enough to pick up the knockout here. Amoonguss going for the Spore though, but Quinn, because they didn't switch out, the Breloom does not go to sleep here. Energy Ball though from the Iron Moth is gonna be able to pick up the knockout on Slowbro. One, it's super effective, and two, you did have that booster energy and Quark Drive, and it is a Terra Grass. But now you're in a perfect spot to really bring in that Torkoal. If you would so choose to, you do have to be careful that if you know your speed tiers here for like the Amoonguss and the Torkoal. Amoonguss is just extremely slow. I actually don't know off the top of my head which one is slower in these terms, but Ferrograph is actually going to be the Pokemon of choice that Quinn decides to bring out for them. Ferrograph, also another Trick Room setter. So kind of cool. If you, there is no reason not to click that Mach Punch, honestly, at this point. I mean, sure, if they Protect, you might be in a little bit of trouble, but it's better than having to take all of that damage and risking poison for both of those Pokemon. So, Quinn actually still in a pretty nice spot here. Does have access to something like Hyper Voice and Psychic, where one, you could either deal super effective damage or you could get the boost from your Throat Spray. Friggraph though gonna go for the Protect instead on this turn to make sure it doesn't take any damage after it has switched in. Iron Moth also going for Protect, so gonna stop that Mach Punch from sort of hitting down into it and getting rid of it here. So yeah, so Breloom going straight into that Protect spot right there, leaving Amoonguss free to go for a Spore, but Friggraph also protecting itself. So really just an exchange of Grass-type Pokemon trying to do their best and just hitting Protects, which honestly not bad, because now if you are Jack, you might want to try to save yourself for a double Protect. If you're Quinn, you're keeping an eye on your Trick Room turns, because you've got to be really careful. You are now officially on a time report where you're going to want to try to set it up. So, 2 turns Trick Room left. Technically, I guess 1 Trick Room turns are weird. This Breloom was actually doing a lot more than I expected in Trick Room. Is going to be able to pick up that knockout down on Iron Moth thanks to that Mach Punch. Really wild to just kind of consider that in a Trick Room setting that Breloom is able to just kind of set a thrive there. As Pollen Puff from that Amoonguss is going to do super effective damage to that Friggraph. But Friggraph is going to be able to hit down that Amoonguss with Psychic. Does get it down to half health, but we know that Amoonguss has a Citrus Berry, which right now it is chewing up on, and is going to be able to restore that health up with it. So gonna have to, like, you know, hit down on that Amoonguss a couple of times. You know, still has access to Regenerator, so if you do switch it out, you know, you do get back a good chunk of your HP as well. So Iron Moth goes down this turn. Trick Room is going to expire soon. Amoonguss is still healthy, wealthy and thriving here as Great Tusk takes the field. So one Paradox Pokemon to another. Actually, it's kind of funny because you go from the future to the past, so we're traveling backwards a little bit here, but no big deal, because I think Jack is also just trying his best to just figure out, like, how can I solve this one Trick Room turn, and then figure out how to deal with Breloom, as Friggraph is honestly the only Trick Room setter here, so has to be careful about protecting itself here, as Amoonguss actually goes for a Protect, and Friggraph making sure that, like, you know, hey, I want to try to set up Trick Room next turn. I'm going to make sure I protect myself this turn. Breloom goes for the Spore actually into that Great Tusk. He's going to put it to sleep, going to make sure that it cannot do any sort of attacks on this turn. So Great Tusk actually going to take the necessary sleep turn on this turn because it's the second one that is moving here. Twisted Dimension Return to Normal Trick Room is now officially over. And now you're in a spot where Breloom actually kind of has a little bit of control on the field. Interesting choice here from Quinn. They are actually going to try to go down into that Amoonguss here. Great Tusk is going to have to, you know, possibly stay asleep this turn. Amoonguss is that Mach Punch. Oh, nope. That's the scary part. Ice Spinner here from Great Tusk is going to go down into that Breloom. It's going to break the sack. Actually, would have broken the sack regardless, but not enough to knock it out. Friggraph going for the Psychic on this turn is going to be enough to pick up the knockout on the Amoonguss. So interesting choice here, because the fact that the Great Tusk woke up is actually kind of wild. You're still in an interesting position where Esparta and Great Tusk might have a chance here, because the purple in the back for Quinn, that actually could just no, it's still kind of rough. If you honestly just get rid of the Great Tusk, you're still fine. Like, you're still in a spot where Trick Room is your best bet that you want to try to set up, I think. But it's kind of a fragile spot to be able to do so, because of the fact that your Friggraph has already taken some damage here, and you have 2 Pokemon here that are able to just kind of knock it down. Breloom is going to go down this turn thanks to the Lumina Crash from that Esparta. And Great Tusk is going to be able to go for the knockout to that Friggraph. Is going to be enough to pick up the knockout. So Torkoal unable to really showcase what it could do in a Trick Room setting here. And that will actually... Oh, actually, no. Torkoal still has a chance here. I think I want to say that... oh, no. That I will get the point fixed on there, because it actually should be game 1 to Jack. You know what? If you can knock that out with Solar Beam, that would be great. If not, then that's unfortunate. But Lumina Crash one more time into that Torkoal, going to do considerable amount of damage into there. Special defense going to drop. Not it's going to matter, because this Headlong Rush is going to take care of whatever poor health that Torkoal has. And that will give the game and the set to Jack. It should have been, unless I'm going crazy, I'm pretty sure that first game went to Jack. So, you just give me 1 second to just confirm with them because, yeah. Give me 1 second. Hey, Troy. Troy. I'm pretty sure that was a 2-0. Let me just double check. Yeah, so sorry, it's been, like I said, it's a little hectic here. So besides Pokemon, here at Psycho Turtle, we actually have a plethora of tournaments. So besides the fact that we're hosting VGC tournaments right now, next door we also have Magic the Gathering RCQ, and we have a One Piece tournament. So it's been a little crazy for us. If you guys can see what it looks like back